In Bethlehem, a king was born. Bethlehem is every home where we recognize and love the King of the world. In Villa Fontana, we also join the shepherds and the carpenters, the merchants and the fishermen, the blacksmiths and the women vendors, the three wise men and the men and women of goodwill to peek at the manger and contemplate the child. And I kiss him, you kiss him, and I dance for him, and I sing to him, and I call him King, Love, my God, my only one, my all. This Christmas opens the doors to the Holy Jubilee year, inviting us to find springs of hope. Christian hope consists in the fact that, thanks to Christ, to His grace, communicated to us through baptism, our life is transformed forever. With the water of baptism, we receive the gift of a new life, breaking down the wall of death, making it a passage to eternity. That is why we celebrate Christmas so much, and why we can celebrate birthdays every year. All of that thanks to our Redeemer, Jesus. In the Nativity scene at Villa Fontana, a water spring stands out, giving life to the flow of a river. In this way, as is the intention year after year, we join the Nativity scene in Rome. On this occasion, the Vatican scene was made by the people of El Grado, a coastal town in the province of Gorizia, in the north of Italy. The Vatican manger is not just a simple representation of the Nativity, but an authentic window into the life of a region rich in fishing traditions. The authenticity of the Christmas representation in St. Peter's Square is outstanding. Every detail has been done with meticulous care, from the native flora to the recreation of local birds. That is why in our own nativity scene we have placed ducks, herons, and flamingos. Those white and pink birds with skinny legs, symbolizing beauty, balance, purity, patience, the ability to communicate with the divine. They will be the toy of baby Jesus this year. Water gives life, as the first psalm says about those trees planted by the river that bear fruit in their own time. In our nativity scene there are many trees, and next to the portal we see three. Well, actually two, because the first one has already been cut down. Using our imagination, this reminds us of the story of three little trees who were dreamers. The first one dreamed of keeping treasures, of becoming a chest of precious stones. The second dreamed of being a big ship crossing vast oceans carrying powerful kings. And the third wanted to grow so tall that when people looked at him, they would think of God. Years passed, and the small trees became majestic cedars. And one day, some loggers cut them down with several blows of their axes to use their wood. The disappointment at first was great for the three of them, because the first tree ended up transformed not into a luxurious chest, but into a simple manger to feed animals. The second became not a large ship, but a simple fishing boat, too weak to sail the oceans. And the third tree seemed to have the hardest luck, because he would have wanted to grow and grow, but it was made into timber that ended up piled in the corner of a military warehouse. Time passed, and one night the light of a golden star shone brightly over the first tree, and a young woman placed her newborn son into that humble manger. "I wish I had built him a beautiful crib," her husband told her. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the light of the star illuminated the child, who was sleeping peacefully on the straw and rough wood of the manger. "The manger is beautiful," she said, and suddenly the first tree understood that it contained the greatest treasure in the universe. In our nativity scene, you can see the place where that tree was planted, and nearby in the grotto, the manger that was built from it. The two other trees are still there. Their story should be told later, in April, at Easter, but I will give you an advance so that you are not left with questions. The second tree, the poor boat, together with its master and his companions, one day transported a gentle teacher who, during a sudden and powerful storm that almost made them sink, stood up calmly, rose his hand, and commanded the waters to stay still. "Calm down," he said. Instantly, the storm obeyed him and gave way to a haven of peace. Suddenly, the second tree, which had become Peter's boat, knew that it was carrying the King of Heaven, earth, and the seas. And the third tree? One Friday morning, a few violent men abruptly grabbed the wood beams piled in the corner. The third tree was horrified to be forced onto the back of an innocent man who had been beaten mercilessly. The poor prisoner carried him painfully through the streets before the eyes of a crowd. Finally, they reached the hill outside the city, and there they nailed his hands and feet to the wood. He hung on the beams made from the third tree, and without complaining, he prayed to his Father. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth shook beneath, the third tree understood that something major had happened. Suddenly, everything had changed. Its wood, bathed in blood, was now glowing like the sun. It was filled with joy, and then it knew that it was the most valuable tree that had ever existed or that would ever exist, because that man is the King of Kings and the Redeemer of the world. It is a story, but Jesus also spoke to us through parables, teaching us eternal truths. This Christmas, we can ask Virgin Mary and Saint Joseph that the birth of the Lord always sustains our hope, the hope that saves, that makes us truly happy here and in heaven. From heaven, our nativity scene will be watched by Lolina, an Opus Dei supernumerary who kept sending us all the figurines of the nativity scene of Villa Fontana from the Canary Islands for over 20 years. She passed away just a month ago. We have placed a small portrait of her in the grotto, very close to the Holy Family, in gratitude. At Villa Fontana, all of us, mixed amongst so many unique and unrepeatable, joyful and hard-working characters, encouraged by the angels of heaven, together with all creation, we wish you a happy and holy Christmas.
Mira la noche estrellada, calla y comprende que quiso Dios alejarle a aquella niña, niña tan niña llena de esperas, que a Dios le dijo cantando: aquí me tienes, haz lo que quieras. Tira fuerte del amor, su brazo es firme, lleva a María y al niño que vino al mundo, mira asombrado está María. caminan, 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 la noche se iluminó. No sabe si está soñando ni a quién abrirle su corazón.